We enter in a new life. Let this world be light.
The Queen update is a very ambitious endeavor.
Definitely the biggest update we've done so far.
An update at this scale is something that few MMOs have done.
We're basically changing half the world around.
While being live, this was a huge task.
The pure content that we put into Queen is huge, and the amount of work that we put into it is huge.
It involves a lot of planning, a lot of coordination. The artists, game design, coders, operations, everyone has to really work together so everything will go smoothly.
We're redesigning the whole Outlands to make them more challenging and engaging.
We're introducing hideouts so that every guild has the ultimate freedom on where to base their home.
We want all players to be part of what it means to conquer territories.
Territory control will now be decided by large-scale open-world fights.
That will basically change the whole meta completely.
Crystal League is a new way for elite PvP players to compete.
There is a whole new faction we're bringing to the game.
The changes coming with the Queen update are in many ways redefining the foundation of Albion Online.
It really marks the start of a new era for Albion Online. The contents that became the Queen update go back a really long time. We've been discussing with players for a long time how the Outland gameplay of Albion can be improved. We collected ideas, we discussed with players on the round table, with players everywhere, how Albion could be moved to the next level, how we could elevate the Outland gameplay experience. And then half a year ago, we collected the team and decided that now would be the time to make these changes. And then we committed everyone to them and, well, set out on this big adventure.
With Queen, we are basically redesigning the entire Outlands so they are more balanced and more engaging.
Most of our players really live the dream of living in the game world, so this is what Queen is going to do for them. We are introducing hideouts, which will allow them to find a space anywhere in the Outlands, settle down there, build their own base, and then live from there.
And the new territory control system allows all players in a guild to participate in territory battles and for control of territories.
For the first time since the release, we're introducing a completely new faction to the game, the Avalonians.
Queen will definitely improve the quality of the experience for the players, just for the fact that we are much more trying to get everybody involved, much more trying to improve the systems in a way that we believe was meant to be in the first place, like a real sandbox environment where everybody can meaningfully contribute to what is going on in the world of Albion.
With the new Outland design, we're really shaking up the entire gameplay experience of Albion Online, because the new Outlands follow a fundamentally different philosophy. We're focusing the entire conflict towards the center of the map.
The most important and most valuable areas are in the very center of the map, which means that everybody who wants to live there needs to ask themselves the question, do I want to be attackable from all sides? Can I hold this position? Can I build up my supply lines up to this point?
Now you will really have to fight to hold on to the best positions.
The options to base yourself in the Outlands has been very limited. There's been very certain points where you could do this. Now, with the addition of hideouts, we're allowing guilds to really choose where they want to be settled in the Outland.
Albion has always been about what player can do in the world. We have a player-driven economy, we have a player-driven world. We want to give our players as much freedom as humanly possible, and especially with this hideout system where we say, hey, just go out there and place yourself wherever you want.
So it doesn't matter if you cannot compete with the big players in the center of the Outlands, for example.
That also means that smaller guilds can have the freedom to be local powerhouses or regional powerhouses, which they couldn't be before.
The Queen update is a really great time for players to come back to Albion. It's an opportunity to get involved with Outland gameplay if you haven't before, and it's a completely fresh start in how you play the Outlands for veteran guilds.
With the Queen update, there's a lot more space for all sizes of guilds. There can be small guilds in the Outlands, there can be bigger guilds in the Outlands, and all your players can actually participate now and be meaningful.
Guilds will have to really reconsider their strategies with Queens. So first there's this complete new unexplored map they have to uncover. They have to consider where they want to place their bases, what territories do they want to claim. It will be a completely strategic, different game for all the guilds, and I'm really excited to see what all the guilds will come up with in terms of strategies for the new world. Territorial Warfare has always been a huge part in Albion Online. It's an integral part that guilds fight other guilds about their chunk of the map.
We used to handle territory fights as a 5 versus 5 battle, and while this was a pretty cool system, it had the disadvantage that most players couldn't really participate in this, and it became a very elite sort of activity.
But we want to allow every guild member to actually have the feeling that they meaningfully contribute to their guild's success. So this whole system changes towards a large-scale open-world battle system.
This will basically change the whole meta completely.
The Crystal League is a rework of the previous Crystal Realm system.
Effectively, this allows 5v5 teams to sign up for Crystal Realm battles in this Crystal League. They just need a token for it.
And this can be bought at the season mages in the major cities.
And once you win in a Crystal League battle, your token gets upgraded, and depending on the level of the token, you at the end reap rewards which go as high up as battle mounts. Winning a Crystal League battle helps their guild because A, it gives them season points, plus B, if they sign up from a watchtower in a territory, this also upgrades that watchtower. That means that in this whole area there's more resources and the watchtower itself just becomes stronger.
Every player who wishes to now participate in competitive 5 versus 5 with full loot has a chance to do so through the new Crystal League system. With the new large-scale open-world fights, we had to think about how to handle the complexity of these fights, and we had to deal with the fact that we would have bigger battles than we had before.
It was our intention that just bringing the larger army does not necessarily ensure that you will win the fight.
Thus, we have devised 2 new systems that should limit this. Number 1 is the Zerg Debuff.
The idea behind the Zerg Debuffs is to introduce a trade-off for guilds, to make them think about how many players do they really want to bring versus how good are these players.
The larger your group is that you bring, the stronger the debuff will be on every individual.
Which effectively is like the inefficiency of a big army.
Zerg debuffs kind of act as an upper limit of what it makes sense to bring to a fight.
For us, it's a balancing factor to even let small groups shine in battles, because it's not anymore who brings the most people into the cluster. It's about strength or size. So yeah, small teams matter. Everyone matters.
We're still aware that battles may become larger than what the servers can handle, and therefore we're introducing the Smart Cluster Queue. The Smart Cluster Queue effectively is a queuing system for a region.
This Smart Cluster Queue determines how many people from each participating site in a battle can actually get into the cluster as it is.
We are still dynamically letting players from all sides in so that there's no way that one group can just block out the other.
In this way we can deal with large fights almost infinitely. The new faction we're bringing to Albion are the Avalonians. And what an amazing faction it is.
The Avalonians are actually the original lords of Avalon.
They used to be battle brothers of Arthur, lore-wise.
And they were there before the Grand Catastrophe.
So they've been sleeping for a few millennia, and they've now arisen and want to bring Avalon back.
Players will be able to find them in the new Outlands, the place that they shaped themselves.
The player encounters these Avalonians mainly in their hidden vaults, which is our new Elite Dungeon feature.
The players can face them as superhuman, immortal Grail Guardians.
These elite dungeons that are rare to find.
And these are very challenging PvE encounter locations where players will be able to collect valuable rewards.
Among them being the Grail buff, which is a week-long lasting buff that increases all of the progression that you make within that week.
These dungeons are, again, randomized in the layout and cater up to 20 people.
And it will only be the toughest 20-man groups will be able to go through them.
The new features in the Queen update redefine the foundations of playing Albion online.
We're going a lot further towards what we believe is the actual sandbox environment that Albion Online should be.
And this way, we even make it a deeper experience.
Even as a small guild player, I can now do GVGs. Even as the tiny guild, I can now live in the Outlands. Even as the not so strong PvE player, I can have a look at the Avalonians.
And the players actually see them as their most dangerous opponents ever.
We are giving every individual player even more chances to meaningfully contribute to what is happening in the world of Albion.
Now's the perfect time to take your chance and claim your piece of Albion.
Because you have a completely new world, that's the best time to start in the guild, because a lot of guilds will probably settle out in the Outlands.
The board is now set. Take the chance to claim your piece of Albion.